AITA for calling my wife lazy and a terrible mother. This is my first time posting, so excuse me for any mistakes I make. I'm a 57-year-old male, and my wife is 51-year-old female. We've been married for 28 years and have one son together that is 25. She's a stay-at-home wife. She never worked a day after we got married since I inherited a company that had been in my family for many generations, so money was never a problem and we lived more than comfortably. When our son was little, she took care of him and the house. Now that he's an adult, the chores are the only thing that she does. She used to take on writing but gave up because she said that it's not as easy as she thought. Now I don't consider myself sexist or that woman belongs in the house with kids. This was her choice because she never liked to work. Problem is I work long hours and expect to at least have a dinner after the long day. We have a housekeeper that comes over twice a week, so her responsibilities are basically cooking and smaller chores. She stopped cooking and doing things lately because she doesn't feel like doing it. She spends her days hanging with her friends and shopping. Also, our son was born as a female and my wife always wanted a daughter. When he came out as trans, she threw a fit and was unsupportive. I paid for his surgery and he transitioned. She was never as caring towards him as before and uses ring pronounces and his old name all the time. The other day I came home and she didn't do anything whole day and I snapped. I told her that I'm sick of her not doing anything while I'm providing for our family. My son is also still in college, and I pay for all of his expenses and apartment because I want him to focus on school. The argument went on and she decided to throw in my face how it's my fault she lost her daughter. This really shocked me and I told her that she is lazy and also a terrible mother for talking as if her child is dead when we have a perfect and healthy son. I am at lost. Half of family members are siding with her, half with me, including our son. She called me an asshole and went to stay with her sister. Was I the asshole? I'm seriously considering divorce. Edit. Thank you for everyone commenting. I just wanted to clear up that my son has been out since he was 14 and had his surgery 5 years ago. Another Reddit. Few of you question my son siding with his mom. I don't know how you got that, but my son is definitely on my side, even though he doesn't know the full story. NTA, I can't believe your marriage has lasted this long based on what you've said. She didn't used to be like this, but ever since our son officially transitioned, via surgery, she changed. I think you both should go get some kind of therapy, whether that be family, marriage, and/or individual. But if I were you, my line in the sand as a family unit would be that she has to start respecting your son and treat him better, because what she's doing is causing disturbance in the peace of the family unit. However she goes about reconfiguring her emotions about the issue, she has to go through that process. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. As for her not doing anything for the household, my line in the sand for that would be 1. She gets a paying job. 2. She volunteers full-time for a charity. 3. You both share in the household chores. But she cannot spend all day socializing and shopping, especially if she's the cause of tension in the house and in the family unit. NTA for wanting a better home life overall, but you should practice better and regular communication so that you don't blow up all at once when you finally snap. Edited typos. NTA. Thank you for being the supportive parent many LGBTQ+ children dream of. Of course, I always suspected that my son is not a girl since he was more interested into boys things growing up, but passed it as being a tomboy until he was comfortable coming out. Also wasn't surprised when he finally did. I'm still wondering how you managed to stick with this woman for 28 years. NTA. AITA for not wanting to get rid of the anime body pillow that saved my marriage. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. My husband and I are best friends during the day. Love of my life. It's at night that's an issue. I'm a blanket stealer. I once yanked them so hard poor hubby flipped a full 180. Hubby, for his part, is a thrasher. Bruce Lee would be jealous of the moves he pulls off while unconscious. It's a constant war between us when we fall asleep, and both of us often wake up sore and exhausted. It was starting to affect our relationship. Neither of us wanted to move to a separate bed because we like spending our nights together, but it seemed like an inevitability. We were both crabby every morning, and we started fighting as soon as we got up. It sucked, but neither of us wanted to concede defeat and move to the other bed. Quick background, I was a huge nerd as a teenager. Full on otaku, go ahead, cringe, I do too. One night as a joke, I brought down an old anime body pillow from the attic, I know, the cringe, and plopped it down between my husband and I, declaring it our demilitarized zone. Hubby also thought it was hilarious, and we named her DMZ-chan. She stayed there the whole night. It was a game changer. DMZ-chan protected me from hubby's REM-induced rampages, and she's just heavy enough that I can't yank the blankets at full speed. DMZ-chan is now a beloved part of our nightly routine. We both thought it was the funniest thing, but she legitimately helped us solve the only real issue in our marriage. One day, Mill stopped by to pick something up. She got up to use the restroom, passing by our open bedroom door. You can guess what she saw. DMZ-chan, propped up in the middle of our bed, her giant soulful anime eyes looking right back at Mill. When she got back, she quickly grabbed her stuff and left, hubby and I both confused. He later mentioned DMZ-chan to hubby while they were on the phone, and it absolutely mortified him. As far as I know, Mill now thinks we're deviants in a three-way relationship with a body pillow. Hubby was too embarrassed to explain, and now he wants to put DMZ-chan back in the attic. I was upset. I told him I didn't want to go back to boxing each other at night, and that DMZ-chan helped us so much in that. He agreed, but suggested we get a normal, plain body pillowcase to replace her. It felt like there was no need to spend money on something we already have, and if it really was that big of an issue, we can put her in the closet while we have company over. Hubby is firm in that she has to go permanently. I know he's embarrassed, but I feel we shouldn't have to compromise our inside jokes to appease other people. AITA, edit, sweet bees, this blew up. Was not expecting all the attention. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone for chiming in. I admit I was being stubborn. I drove over to Target on my lunch break and bought a new cover for $10. I put it on DMZ-chan as soon as I got home. To those asking, I did wash her after fishing her out of the attic, and am now waiting on hubby to get home so I can apologize for making him uncomfortable. DMZ-chan shall live on in our hearts and under the blanket when company's over. Info, can't you just take the cover off? Yes, hubby has suggested we get a new pillowcase. My problem is I feel like he's kowtowing to Mill about a private issue. ESH Mill sucks for making such a big deal about it. Husband for not explaining a simple and straightforward situation to his mom and instead having this knee-jerk reaction. You for not taking the reasonable compromise of a plain pillowcase for it. Yup, this exactly. His compromise was reasonable. Pillowcases are not expensive unless you go for the expensive ones. Nah. Well, okay. Actually Mill is absolutely the R because it's none of her freaking business what goes on in your bedroom and she should have kept her mouth closed. You are not at all in the wrong for not wanting to make changes to your bedroom, or any other part of your home/life, in response to her unsolicited opinion. However, I can see how, from your husband's perspective, it has now changed from being a funny inside joke to a reminder of a super cringy, embarrassing moment with his mom. I honestly probably wouldn't want that reminder in my bed either. So to me, it's not necessarily that his wanting to get rid of it is kowtowing to Millers for his own comfort. Judging from just the amount of info provided, it feels like a good, open, honest conversation is in order. On your part, Op, if the inside joke isn't funny to your partner anymore, don't you think it's time to move on? Usually when someone is made uncomfortable by a joke, it's time to put that joke away. It doesn't really matter why. If that's not a good enough reason for you, then is it possible you're not being fully honest with yourself about your reasons? If you used to have stronger feelings about this object, is it possible that those are clouding your judgment, or that you still have them to some extent? I feel so, that's okay. But you do need to be honest with yourself and your husband about that and have a good talk about what you both need and are comfortable with in your intimate space. Edit, typo. NTA, the real problem isn't about removing the pillow, but the fact that your Mill made a scene about something that isn't any of her business. Your husband should stop enabling that. AITA for moving to avoid babysitting for my parents, which prompted my siblings to do the same. I'm 22, the oldest brother of 9 siblings. I have 5 younger brothers and 3 sisters. My sister is 20 and my brother is 19. Youngest is 4 years old and my other siblings' ages range from 16 years to 7 years. My parents would have had way more kids, but my mom suffered from several miscarriages. Pretty much since I was 6 I had to take care of all my siblings. I could never go out because my parents were working and nobody to take care of my siblings. I love my siblings, but I hated never having freedom. It used to annoy me like crazy that they would just pop one kid after another. Our house wasn't that big, so everyone shared rooms, never had any private space. Parents made good money, but because of so many kids they struggled financially. Years later I found out the reason why they had so many kids because they weren't using any protection at all. My mom said they didn't believe in using protection and any kids they had were because of God's will. If they didn't get pregnant, that was fine. If they did, it was because that was God's plan. I was so mad since I was the one also stuck taking care of all these kids because they're too stubborn to use protection since it's against their beliefs. When my mom got pregnant again with my youngest sibling, I waited till my 18th and moved out that day. Made sure I moved far too, 1 hour away, so I had that excuse. When my sis turned 18 she begged me to let her live with me and I said yeah. My bro did too eventually. My sister has already moved out but he's still there with me while we continue our college classes. They saw that I limited contact with my parents to avoid getting stuck babysitting, so they wanted out too. Now my younger bro who's 16 is spending more time at my place because he hates it at home. My parents are mad at me for dipping out on them since that's made my other siblings not want to be responsible for the younger ones either. My dad told me they're hurt I turned my back on my family and have made my siblings do the same. Cause I'm the older one, so I have the most influence on them, and ever since I left they followed with the same attitude. A part of me does feel bad that they're having a hard time, but at the same time I feel they brought that on themselves, just thinking they can have however many kids and expecting us all to just live with their actions. Just wondering if I'm TA for how this all happened. NTA, tell them it was God's plan. NTA, you didn't choose to have all those kids, your parents did. The younger children are their responsibility and not yours. End of story. NTA, they've been enormously irresponsible by leaving the odds of getting pregnant up to divine will, or rather their own biology, and relying on the older kids to look after the younger ones. Good on you for helping the ones who also want to get out of being a live-in babysitter. They have at least 10 children and probably will have more given their attitude towards protection. Does the Bible say anything about deadbeat parents? They older already, so I'm hoping my little brother is the last one and my mom can't physically have any more. Natar, you didn't turn your back on your family. You are choosing to live your life and be a brother instead of a babysitter. And after all that, Op is still letting 3 of his siblings live with him. That shows a very large capacity for kindness that I'm not sure I'd have in that situation. Op could be living completely independently, but instead is sharing his living space with dependents, in assuming they don't pay much towards costs, because he loves his siblings.